My best friend told me I was way out of her league, and should be grateful she even stayed my friend. 3 months later, she showed up at my door sobbing that I cheated on her by dating someone else. I am 27, and I will call my best friend Sarah. We have known each other for about 6 years since we both moved to Denver after college. We used to talk every single day. For the last 3 years, I have been telling her I have feelings for her. Not just once, but repeatedly, because I thought maybe she needed time, or maybe she just did not realize how serious I was. Every time I brought it up, she would laugh it off or say something like, "I will think about it, or maybe someday." She never gave me a straight yes or no, just left me hanging there, wondering if maybe one day she would finally say yes. I kept hoping and waiting because we were so close, and I genuinely thought she might feel the same way eventually. On the 20th of July, we were at our mutual friend Tom's birthday party, and I saw her leave with some guy from her office. They were laughing, and she had her hand on his arm, and I just felt sick watching it. I realized I could not keep doing this to myself. The next morning, I texted her asking if we could meet at our usual coffee shop. When we met up at Stella's on Sunday morning, I told her straight out that I needed a real answer this time. I said, "Look, Sarah, I have been telling you how I feel for 3 years now. 3 years. I cannot keep waiting around while you decide if I am worth taking a chance on. If you do not want to be with me, just say it clearly so I can move on." She got this annoyed look on her face and said, "Why do you keep pressuring me about this? I am still thinking about it. I do not want to be rushed into anything." I felt my frustration building and said 3 years is not rushing. That is when her whole tone changed. She leaned back, crossed her arms, and looked at me like I was being ridiculous. She said, "You want the truth. I am way out of your league. I would never actually want to date you. Being your friend is already more than you deserve. You should be grateful for that and stop bothering me about it. Maybe if you worked on yourself more, you would understand why this would never happen." I just stood there completely blindsided. She had never talked to me like that before. All those times she said maybe someday or I need to think about it, I guess it was all just her way of keeping me around without committing to anything, without losing her reliable emotional support system. I just said okay then. That is all I needed to hear, and I left. I did not yell or make a scene. I just walked out of Stella's and got in my car. She tried texting me that evening like nothing happened, asking if I wanted to come over and watch our usual Sunday shows. I responded, "Just watching something else tonight." She sent a few more messages over the next week, but I kept my responses short. I was not angry anymore, just exhausted. I realized I had wasted 3 years on someone who never saw me as an option. That was about 3 months ago in late July. I have been keeping my distance from her since then. We still talk occasionally, but nothing like before. I work in software development and have been throwing myself into a new project at work. I am not trying to punish her or anything, I just do not have the energy to pretend everything is fine. 2 weeks ago, on the 3rd of October, I met someone at a coffee shop. Different coffee shop. I had been working remote from this place called Grounds for Thought, and this woman asked if she could share my table because everywhere else was full. Her name is Maya, and she is a graphic designer. We started talking about work and then somehow ended up talking for 2 hours. She asked for my number before she left. I was not really looking to date anyone because I was still processing everything with Sarah, but Maya was different. She was easy to talk to, and she actually seemed interested in me without any games or mixed signals. No, maybe someday, just clear interest and clear communication. We have been on 4 dates now, and I feel lighter than I have in years. We went to this brewery she recommended, and she told me about her terrible ex, and I told her a little about Sarah. She just listened and said that sounds really hard and did not try to fix anything or judge me. I am not ready to call it official yet, but I can feel myself moving on from Sarah. For the first time, I am not spending every day wondering if she will finally choose me. Last night, the 18th of October, there was another party at Tom's place, and I brought Maya with me. I did not think Sarah would be there because she had been avoiding group things, but she was. She saw me walk in with Maya, and I watched her face change. She went pale, and then her expression just hardened. She gave me this look I could not read, but I just smiled at Maya and kept talking to Tom about his new job. When I got home around midnight, I had 17 missed calls and over 30 texts from Sarah. The messages were intense. She said things like, "You betrayed me, and you have been lying about your feelings for me this whole time. And if you really cared about me, you would not have moved on so quickly. And this is why I could never trust you with my heart. You just proved me right." I sat there reading these messages, feeling confused and, honestly, a little angry. I texted back, "What are you talking about? You told me I was not good enough for you. You told me to be grateful you even stayed my friend. You rejected me. Of course I moved on." She replied, "Immediately. I was still thinking about it, and you never told me you were seeing someone else. This is basically like you cheated on me. We had an understanding." I read that message 3 times, trying to understand her logic. We were never together, she made sure of that. I wrote back, "We did not have an understanding. You told me I was out of your league. What was I supposed to do? Wait forever while you kept me as your backup?" She said she wants to meet in person to talk about this. I told her there is nothing to talk about, but she said she is coming over anyway. That was 10 minutes ago. I do not want this drama in my life anymore. I finally found someone who makes me feel valued, and now Sarah is trying to make me feel guilty for being happy. Maya does not know about these messages yet, and I do not know if I should tell her or just handle this myself. Am I wrong for moving on? Should I have told Sarah I was seeing someone? I feel like I am losing my mind here because 3 months ago she humiliated me in public, and now she is acting like I broke her heart. Update 1: She came over, and it got intense. Thank you to everyone who commented on my last post. Your advice really helped me stay firm during what turned into a very difficult conversation. Some of you asked me to be careful, and one person suggested I record the conversation on my phone just in case. I did not record it, but I did keep detailed notes afterward while everything was fresh. I heard the knock on the door at 12:47 a.m. and took a deep breath before opening it. Sarah was standing there in the same green jacket she always wore, and she looked furious, but also like she had been crying. Her eyes were red and her makeup was smudged. She was holding her phone in one hand like she had been texting someone. The moment I opened the door, she said, "Why did you do this to me?" Her voice was shaking and louder than I expected. "You said you liked me. You said you cared. How could you just be with someone else now?" I kept the door open and let her in because I did not want my neighbors hearing this argument. Mrs. Miller next door is elderly, and I did not want to wake her. Once inside, I turned to face Sarah and said, "How did I do this to you? I spent 3 years trying to be with you. 3 years. I asked you for answers, for clarity, for honesty, and what did you do?" She tried to interrupt, but I kept going. "You threw me aside. You told me I was not good enough for you. You said I should be grateful you even stayed my friend. You said maybe if I worked on myself, I would understand why this would never happen. So why now, when I am finally trying to move on, do you act like I owe you something?" She looked taken aback, like she had not expected me to push back. She said, I was thinking. I did not want to rush things. You know, these feelings are not simple. I thought you would wait for me. You always waited before. Wait." I cut her off and my voice was louder than I intended. "Wait for what? For what exactly? You never gave me anything to wait for. You left me in limbo, acting like I was just a backup plan, and when I finally asked for an answer, when I said I could not live in that uncertainty anymore, you did not think twice before humiliating me. In public, at Stella's, where everyone knows us. And now you expect me to apologize for not continuing to wait around while you decide." She went quiet, and I could see her anger giving way to something else. She was not used to hearing this tone from me. For so long I had been submissive to her whims, always willing to give in, to forgive, to wait. She finally said in a quieter voice, "I just did not know what I wanted. But now I know. Seeing you with her tonight, I realized I could lose you." I shook my head. Part of me had waited for those words for so long, but now they felt empty. "Too late," I said. "You do not get it, do you? It is not that you want me. It is that you do not want me to be with anyone else. You liked knowing I was always available, but now that I am trying to be happy with someone else, it bothers you. This is not love, Sarah. This is ego. You just do not like losing control." Tears rolled down her face. She said, "That is not true. I was just confused. You know, I have trust issues." I raised my hand to stop her. I said, "It does not matter now. I am over it. I found someone who really wants to be with me, who makes me feel valued without me having to beg for it. I deserve someone who will not leave me waiting for 3 years while they decide if I am good enough. You rejected me, and I accepted that. Now I am moving on, and you need to accept that too." She grabbed onto my arm desperately. She said, please give me another chance. I can be that person for you, I promise. I just did not realize it before, but now I know what I want." I gently pulled away. I felt sad but not regretful. This was the closure I needed. I said you had all the chances. I gave you everything I could, and you did not want it. Now it is too late. I do not feel the same way anymore, and I cannot keep being your backup plan. I hope you find what you are looking for, Sarah, but it will not be with me. I walked to the door and opened it. She stood there motionless, her eyes filled with tears. She finally understood she had lost. I said goodbye, Sarah. She left sobbing quietly. I closed the door and let out a deep sigh, feeling sadness and relief. My hands were shaking. I called Maya. It was almost 2 a.m., but she picked up immediately. I said, "Can I come over? I do not want to be alone right now." She said, "Of course." I will make coffee. When I got to her apartment, she just hugged me for a long time, without asking questions. We sat on her couch and I told her everything. When I finished, she said, "I am not going anywhere. You do not have to worry about that with me." For the first time in years, I feel like I am building something with someone who actually wants me. Update 2. It has been about 3 weeks since my last update, and I need to share what happened because it escalated in a way I did not expect. First, the good news. Maya and I made it official 3 weeks ago. She is amazing, and every day I am more grateful I met her. We are taking things at a good pace, and I feel genuinely happy in a way I have not felt in years. Now the complicated and honestly disturbing part. I have been hearing things about Sarah through our mutual friends, and last week something happened that made me realize I needed to set even firmer boundaries. About 2 weeks after our confrontation, Tom texted me saying Sarah had been asking about me, asking if I was still with that girl and if I seemed happy. He said he kept his answers vague but wanted to give me a heads up that she was clearly not over it. I thanked him and did not think much of it at the time. Then last Monday, the 4th of November, I got a message from Maya. She sent me a screenshot. It was a DM from an account she did not recognize. The message said, "You should know he told me he was in love with someone else, just 2 weeks before he met you. You are just a rebound. He is using you to make me jealous. I have known him for 6 years and you have known him for what, a month? Think about that." My stomach dropped when I read it. I called Maya immediately, and she answered saying, "I figured it was from Sarah. The account was created recently and only follows people from Denver. I am not upset with you. I just thought you should know she is trying to interfere." I felt sick. Not because I thought Maya would believe it, but because it showed how far Sarah was willing to go. This was not just about her feelings anymore. She was actively trying to sabotage my new relationship. I told Maya everything about the timeline, which she already knew, and she said, "I trust you. But this is concerning behavior. Maybe you should consider blocking her completely." That same week, our friend Lisa told me she ran into Sarah at a bar on Thursday night. Lisa said Sarah was drunk and kept talking about how I had betrayed her, and how the new girl had stolen me away. Lisa tried to change the subject, but Sarah got emotional and started crying. She kept saying we had something special, and I threw it away for someone I barely knew. Lisa texted me that night saying Sarah seemed really not okay, and maybe someone should check on her. Despite everything, we had been friends for 6 years, and I did not like knowing she was struggling. But I also knew I could not be the person who helped her through this. On Saturday, the 9th of November, I was at Maya's apartment when my phone started buzzing repeatedly. Sarah had seen us getting coffee earlier and was sending message after message. "I saw you today. You looked happy. Do you ever think about me? It is not fair that you get to move on like I meant nothing. I gave you the best years of my friendship, and you replaced me in a month." Maya squeezed my hand and said, "You can care about her well-being while still protecting yourself. Those two things can exist at the same time. But this is not healthy behavior for any of us." She was right. I texted Sarah, "I hope you are doing okay, but I do not think us staying in contact is healthy right now. I have moved on and I need you to respect that. Please do not message me or Maya again." Then I blocked her number. An hour later, Tom called. Sarah had contacted him crying that I blocked her and needed to talk for closure. Tom told her I had the right to move on and she needed to respect my boundaries. 3 days later, I got a text from an unknown number. "This is Sarah. I am using my work phone. Please do not block this too. I just need to talk to you one time, face to face. I promise after that, I will leave you alone." I showed Maya. She said, "It is your choice. I trust you either way." I thought about it. Part of me felt guilty, but I remembered what Maya said about boundaries. I texted back, I understand you are hurting, but meeting in person would not give you closure. It would just reopen everything. I have moved on, and I am happy. I hope you can find that too, but it cannot involve me. Please do not contact me from other numbers. This is my final message." Then I blocked that number too. Tom mentioned later that Sarah has been pulling away from the entire friend group. He asked if I felt bad, and I said honestly yes and no. Yes, because I never wanted to hurt her. No, because she did this to herself by refusing to respect my boundaries. Maya and I have talked about moving in together after the holidays. She has met my family over video calls and they love her. I met her parents last weekend and her dad said, "I can tell you make my daughter happy, and that is all that matters to me." Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Sarah had been honest from the start. But then I look at where I am now with Maya, and I realize everything happened exactly how it needed to. I learned that waiting for someone to choose you is not romantic. It is just painful. I deserve someone who is certain about me from day one, not someone who keeps me hoping while they figure out if I am good enough. Final update: it has been almost 8 months since my original post, and I wanted to give one final update because this chapter of my life is finally completely closed. I am writing this on a Sunday morning in June with Maya asleep next to me in our apartment, and I can honestly say I have never been happier. Maya and I moved in together in March. We found this great one-bedroom place in the Highland neighborhood with big windows that let in morning light. She leaves little notes for me around the apartment. Yesterday, I found one in my laptop bag that said, "Proud of you for the presentation today." These small gestures remind me every day what a healthy, loving relationship looks like. The other morning I was making coffee in our kitchen and she came up behind me and wrapped her arms around my waist. She said quietly, "You know I love you, right?" We had not said it yet, even though we had been together for 7 months and living together for 3. I turned around and looked at her and said, "I love you too." I meant it fully, without fear, without reservation, without wondering if she would change her mind tomorrow. Work has been going incredibly well. I got promoted to senior developer in April and have been leading a team on a new project. My manager said the promotion was partly because of my technical skills, but also because of how much more focused and confident I have seemed over the past 6 months. I did not tell him it was because I finally stopped carrying around the weight of unrequited feelings. As for Sarah, I need to share what happened because it gives the story proper closure, even though it was difficult. About 2 months ago in early April, I was at a coffee shop working remotely, not Stella's or Grounds for Thought, but a new place near our apartment. I looked up from my laptop and saw Sarah standing in line. My heart started racing. I had not seen her in person since that night at my apartment in October. She looked different. Thinner. Her hair was shorter. She was wearing clothes I did not recognize, and she looked tired in a way that went beyond just lack of sleep. She saw me at the same moment I saw her. Her eyes widened, and for a second, I thought she might leave. But instead, she walked over to my table after getting her coffee. She said, "Hi, can I sit for just a minute? I promise I am not here to cause problems." I hesitated but nodded. She sat down across from me and wrapped both hands around her coffee cup, like she needed something to hold on to. She said, "I know you blocked me and I respect that. I am not asking you to unblock me or give me another chance or anything like that. I saw you and I realized I never actually apologized. Not really. So I am sorry. For stringing you along, for saying those horrible things at Stella's, for trying to sabotage things with Maya, for all of it. You deserved better, and I was too selfish and too scared to see it." I sat there processing her words. She looked genuine. There was no manipulation in her voice, no hidden agenda that I could detect. Just someone who had finally done some self-reflection. I said, "Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it." She nodded and took a sip of her coffee. She said, "I have been seeing a therapist since February. She helped me understand why I did what I did, why I kept you hoping but never committed. It was not about you not being good enough. It was about me being terrified of losing control and of being vulnerable. You were safe because I knew you would always be there. And when you finally left, it destroyed me because I realized what I had lost. But that was my fault, not yours." I felt some of the anger and hurt I had been carrying start to ease, not disappear completely but soften. I said, "I am glad you are getting help. I mean that." She smiled sadly and said, "Me too." She paused and then said, "Are you happy with her?" I said, "Yes, I am really happy." She nodded. and I could see tears forming in her eyes, but she blinked them back. She said, "Good. That is good. You deserve to be happy." She stood up and said, "Thank you for letting me say that. I will leave you alone now. Take care of yourself." She walked out, and I sat there for a few minutes, just processing what had happened. When I got home that evening, I told Maya about it. She listened carefully, and then said, "How do you feel?" I said, honestly relieved. Like that was the closure I needed. The real kind, not the kind she was demanding back in November. She actually took responsibility. Maya said, "Do you want to unblock her?" I thought about it and said no. I think we are better off with distance, but I am glad she is getting help, and I hope she finds what she is looking for. Maya squeezed my hand and said, "That is very mature of you. I am proud of how you handled all of this. I heard through Tom last month that Sarah is actually doing better. She started dating someone new and has been more engaged with the friend group again. Tom said she seems more genuine now, less performative. He said she asked about me once, and when he said I was doing well with Maya, she just nodded and said that is good. No drama, no demands. Just acceptance. I am genuinely happy for her. I do not love her anymore in a romantic sense, and I do not miss what we had, but I can wish her well from a distance, and I can appreciate that she finally did the work to understand herself better. As for me and Maya, we are talking seriously about the future. She brought up marriage last week in a casual way while we were making dinner. She said, "So hypothetically, if someone were to propose to you, what kind of ring would you want?" I laughed and said hypothetically. She grinned and said, "I am just gathering information for purely theoretical purposes. We have not set any timeline, but I know I want to marry her. She is the person I want to build a life with. She makes me laugh and challenges me to be better and supports me without conditions. She does not keep me guessing or make me prove my worth. She just loves me clearly and openly, and that still feels almost too good to be true." I learned so much from that experience with Sarah. I learned that I deserve someone who is certain about me from the start, that waiting for someone to choose you is not loyalty, it is self-abandonment, that moving on is not betrayal, it is self-respect, that some people are not ready to receive the love we want to give them, and that is not our fault. To everyone who commented and supported me through this journey, thank you. You helped me see what I could not see when I was in the middle of it. You reminded me that my feelings mattered and that I deserved better than breadcrumbs. I left behind someone who maybe loved me but definitely did not know how to show it in a healthy way. And I found someone who loves me fully and is not afraid to prove it every day. That is the ending I needed. This morning as I finished writing this, Maya just woke up. She rolled over and smiled at me and said, "What are you working on?" I said, "Just closing a chapter." She said, "Good." She kissed my shoulder and said, "Come back to bed." And I realized that is exactly where I want to be. Not stuck in the past waiting for someone to choose me, but right here in the present with someone who already did. This will be my last update. I am closing this chapter completely and focusing on the beautiful life I am building with Maya. Thank you all again for everything. You helped save me from wasting any more years on someone who did not deserve them.